Hey, Lauren, you're just like air, you know? It's enough for you to just be here. You don't have to do anything. When my mother, Susan, said those words, I couldn't breathe for a moment. It sounded like she was allowing me to exist, but in reality, it was a total denial of my presence. Next to her, my stepfather Joe didn't even look up from his newspaper as he nodded along. She's right. You should just keep quiet, Lauren, that's for the best. And then there was my stepsister, Katie. As his daughter from his previous marriage, she looked down at me with a flawless smile pasted on her face. Lauren really shouldn't cause any trouble. Right, Mom? Yes, really. You need a lot of money these days, Katie, so having Lauren stay quiet is a big help for the family finances. This is my everyday life. This is what's normal in our house. I'm Lauren, a 20-year-old college student. My dream is to become a counselor, someone who can support people who've been hurt. Though honestly, I don't know if I even have the right to talk about such a beautiful dream right now. Most days, just getting through life in front of me takes everything I have. My parents got divorced when I was young. The reason was my father's job, which had him traveling around the world constantly. My mother grew lonely and frustrated raising me by herself. Their hearts drifted apart, and eventually, so did they. 2 years ago, my mother got remarried. Joe and Katie became my new family. But from that day on, my place in the world began to quietly but unmistakably fade away. All my mother's affection was poured into Katie, my stepsister, who was both brilliant and beautiful. The only words left for me were things like, "You can handle things on your own," or "Katie's at an important stage in her life." I get by on scholarships and 2 part-time jobs, working at a cafe early in the morning and at a grocery store late at night. Most of the money I work so hard to earn is taken by my mother for living expenses. To them, I'm nothing more than a convenient ATM. Nothing more, nothing less. Sometimes, there's not even any food prepared for me. There are days when they forget I even exist. Even so, I never wanted to quit college. I knew I'd never get a good job if I didn't graduate. It's my grandparents who pay for my tuition. That's why quitting was never an option. Maybe more than wanting to learn, it was my desperate need to escape, even for a moment, from this suffocating house. No expectations. No demands. No showing emotion. I wanted to live on my own, but that takes money. I didn't want to trouble my grandparents any further, so my only choice was to quietly make it through until graduation, no matter what. But deep down, a feeling kept smoldering inside me. Something is wrong. And at that time, I didn't realize that the day when this feeling would turn into certainty was just around the corner. Everything started on my birthday. It was one word from my father that set everything in motion. For my 21st birthday, my family planned a rare, modest party. That was only because my father, Dan, who had been overseas on business, came back for a short visit and asked my mother if he could at least celebrate his daughter's birthday. It was obvious that my mother and the others were just hoping for an expensive gift or a generous cash present from him. Even so, I was genuinely happy to see my father. It had been years since we'd met face to face since the divorce. At the restaurant, the moment my father saw me, he smiled warmly and his eyes softened. "You've grown so beautiful, Lauren. Are you working hard in school?" His gentle voice made me a little shy, so all I could manage was, "Thanks, Dad. I'm doing okay, more or less." Trying to fill the awkward silence, my father asked, "So, how's everything? Are you enjoying college?" "Yeah. The assignments are tough, but I've got good friends and I'm having fun." I forced a smile as I spoke. Just then, my father peered at me with concern. "Lauren, have you lost weight? You've got dark circles under your eyes. Are you eating properly?" I'm fine. I'm just on a diet, that's all." I lied without thinking. The truth is, I hadn't had a proper meal in days. My father didn't look convinced, but my mother Susan cut in, deliberately changing the subject. "Oh, Dan, you worry too much. Lauren's doing just fine. Right, honey? She winked at me as if asking for agreement, but I couldn't meet her eyes. Once the mood had lightened a bit, my father suddenly dropped a bombshell, almost as if he'd just remembered something. Oh, right. Lauren, the $40,000 I sent for your college tuition. Did you get it okay? I hope it helped. Time froze. The sounds of the restaurant seemed to fade far away. I couldn't process what he'd just said. What? I mean the tuition. Susan contacted me and said you needed a big sum for school, so I quickly wired $40,000, of course, for you, Lauren. Wait, Dad. I never got any money like that. Not once. My father's expression darkened rapidly. You can't be serious. My father's sharp gaze turned toward my mother, Susan. Susan, what's going on? Lauren says she never received the tuition money. Explain. For a moment, my mother hid her face behind her wine glass, her eyes darting nervously. But then, like an actress, she put on a sad expression. Oh, I'm sorry, Dan. The truth is, there were some unexpected expenses. You know, preparing for Katie's study abroad, paying off the house mortgage. Things had been really tough financially. I meant to talk to Lauren about it later, but… What do you mean by that? My father's voice had become icy cold. Lauren gets scholarships and she's working part-time too, right? She's always been able to manage on her own, just like you. That's why I believed she'd be fine. My father cut her off. She's fine, you say? He quietly stood up, walked over, and gently placed a hand on my bony shoulder. Look at her face. Her cheeks are sunken. She's got dark circles under her eyes that won't go away. Is this what a fine person looks like? Susan, you're her mother. My mother fell silent, biting her lip in frustration. That's when my stepfather, Joe, jumped in to rescue her. Hey, Dan, don't you think you're being a little harsh? Susan's been doing her best to manage the household. She did everything she could. Her best. My father glared at Joe. So using another man's daughter's tuition money to pay for your own daughter's study abroad is your idea of doing your best? Out in the real world, that's called embezzlement. Didn't you know? The whole room froze. I watched the scene unfold in front of me as if it was happening to someone else. Oh, I see. So this was the source of the discomfort I'd always felt. From the start, I was never really family. To them, it was as if I didn't exist. No, being invisible was actually more convenient for them. I was less than air. The moment I realized this, something inside me snapped with an audible crack. That's enough. Even I was surprised by how loud my voice sounded. I quietly stood up. Dad, thank you for trying to celebrate my birthday. But I just can't do this anymore. My mother and stepfather were saying something, but I couldn't hear them anymore. I quietly opened the door and left the room. I would never sit at the table with these people again. I was certain of it. I rushed home from the restaurant and locked myself in my room. After a while, I heard my mother and the others come home. Their hysterical voices and footsteps echoed from downstairs. That girl, she ruined the whole party. Dan's always been like that. Playing the hero as usual. I didn't want to hear any of it, so I put on my headphones. I didn't cry. I just felt my heart growing cold. Late that night, my door was thrown open. No knock, just a loud bang. Standing there was my stepsister, Katie. Her usually perfect makeup was a little smudged, and her eyes were cold and sharp. Lauren, can I talk to you for a sec? Her voice was nothing like her usual sweet tone. It was openly annoyed. What? Because of you, Mom and Dad are in a terrible mood. What are you going to do about it? My fault? I couldn't help but ask, and Katie irritably pushed her hair back. Yes, your fault. You had to go and say something unnecessary. How dare you embarrass us like that in front of that man? I only told the truth. You guys used my money without my permission, didn't you? Katie snorted at my retort. Ha! Your money? Don't make me laugh. Do you have any idea how much it costs just to let you live here? Food, utilities, rent. Your part-time wages don't even come close to covering it. That made my blood boil. As if you ever cook for me. And some of the rent is covered by the money I give to the family. Shut up, Katie yelled. Having a broke loser like you here just drags me down. I can't even tell my friends I have a sister like you. It's humiliating. She stepped closer to me. But whatever. More importantly, lend me some money. What? You heard me. I promised my friends I'd go on a trip with them this weekend, but I'm a little short. She stuck out her hand as if it was the most natural thing in the world. I was so stunned by her nerve, I couldn't even speak. No, absolutely not. After you used my tuition money, you still have the nerve to ask for more? My voice shook as I refused, and Katie's expression instantly changed. The honor student mask slipped, revealing her true, nasty self. Oh, so you're going to defy me now? Do you even know whose kindness lets you live in this house? She swept my textbooks off my desk and onto the floor. Listen, you're just air. All you have to do is stay quiet and do as you're told. If you refuse to lend me money, maybe I'll just take something you care about instead. As Katie said this, her eyes landed on a small picture frame by my bedside. It was the only photo I had of my father and me, smiling together before the divorce, from when I was little. Don't, I shouted just as she snatched up the frame. Give it back. Please, not that. If you want it back, hand over the money. $500 will do. If you give me that, I'll return it. Her eyes told me she was dead serious. Fear and anger made my whole body tremble. But I knew if I lost control here, things would only get worse. I bit my lip hard and forced myself to stay calm. Without a word, I stood up, went to my desk, and pulled an envelope from the drawer, my part-time savings. I took out $500 and thrust it at Katie. Here, is that enough? Now give it back. Looking pleased, Katie grabbed the money and tossed the picture frame onto my bed. That's all you had to do from the start. See you, useless little sister. With a sneer, she left the room. After the door closed, I collapsed to the floor. Tears stung my eyes from frustration. But it only lasted a moment. I quickly wiped my face and clenched my fists. There was no time to cry. No room for sentimentality. What Katie just did was clear blackmail. And the tuition money was embezzlement. I knew I wouldn't win if I just argued emotionally. What I needed was legal power and objective evidence. With trembling hands, I picked up my phone and opened the voice memo app. Then, calmly and in detail, I began to record everything that had just happened, what Katie said, what she took, and how she threatened me. Every last detail. This was the first step in my counterattack. Then, I found a single name in my contacts and pressed the call button. Hello? Dad? Sorry to call so late. It's Lauren. My voice was steady. I'll get right to the point. I've decided to fight back against this family. I want to settle the tuition issue and everything they've taken from me legally. But I'll need your help. Will you support me? This wasn't a plea for help. It was a strong request to join me as a partner in battle. On the other end of the line, I heard my father inhale sharply. After a moment's silence, his reply came, filled with pride and determination. Of course, Lauren. Whatever you want to do, I'll stand with you. I'm proud of your decision. Hearing those words, I nodded quietly to myself. The long night was finally coming to an end. The day after I called my father, I went to college with almost no sleep. Because of the money Katie took, I couldn't even afford lunch. I sat on a campus bench, popped a single mint tablet from my bag into my mouth. That would have to be my lunch for today. As I stared blankly at the sky, a cheerful voice called out behind me. Lauren, what are you doing here? You haven't eaten lunch yet, right? I turned to see my friend Ashley, holding a bag with bread and juice. Ashley, Honestly, you look so pale. Did something happen yesterday? You've got dark circles, too. Ashley plopped down beside me and peered at my face with concern. I could only force a smile in response to the concern in her eyes. No, nothing. I just stayed up too late, that's all. Hum. Ashley didn't look convinced, but instead of pressing further, she took a big piece of bread from her bag and handed it to me. Here, take this. The lady at the shop gave me an extra for free today. I can't eat two by myself, so help me out, okay? I immediately knew that was just her gentle way of looking out for me. But that kindness warmed my frozen heart. Thank you, Ashley. The bread she gave me was so warm and delicious, I could hardly believe it. I bowed my head, hiding my tears so Ashley wouldn't see. Lauren, are you really okay? Don't push yourself too hard. If you ever need to talk, I'll always listen, okay? All I could do was give a small nod at her words, knowing that there was still someone in this world who cared about me. Just that fact made me feel like I could keep going a little longer. After my classes were over, I checked my phone and saw a message from my father. I'll pick you up tonight. Just bring the bare essentials. I'll take care of everything else. It was short but powerful, and it filled my heart with warmth. I hurried home and quietly slipped into my room, careful not to let anyone see. But I didn't have much to pack anyway, a few changes of clothes, my college textbooks, and that photo with my father. I put everything into a small backpack. As I finished, my father called again. Lauren? I'm near the house now. Can you come out soon? Yeah, I'll be right there. I slung on my backpack and carefully opened the door. Luckily, my mother, stepfather, and Katie were all absorbed in the TV in the living room. Their loud laughter sounded strangely distant. I quietly opened the front door, careful not to make a sound. Slipping on my shoes, I stepped outside without looking back. Around the corner, I saw a car parked with its hazard lights blinking. It was my father. As I hurried over, he immediately got out and pulled me into a tight hug. You've done so well. I'm proud of you. With those few words, every last thread holding me together snapped. I broke down, sobbing in my father's arms. He didn't say anything, just rubbed my back gently until I calmed down. When we got into the car, my father started the engine quietly. We're going to the apartment I rented. There's a room ready for you. You don't have to worry about anything anymore. Okay. I've already spoken with a lawyer about the tuition. We've started taking action. Everything that was unfairly taken from you, we'll get it all back. I promise. Those words reassured me more than anything else in the world. And one more thing. My father said, handing me a paper bag from the back seat. Inside were a warm soup, a sandwich, and a brand new pair of pajamas. You must be starving. Eat something hot, then get some good rest. I've prepared the bath for you two. That night, for the first time in ages, I felt truly at peace in the new room my father had prepared for me. A warm meal, clean sheets, and above all, someone who genuinely cared for me. I had forgotten how comforting the simple, ordinary things in life could be. When I closed my eyes, more tears slipped down my cheeks. But this time, they weren't cold tears like yesterday's. They were a little warmer, tears of hope. A few days after my new life with my father began, he told me, let's settle things. We went back to that house, me, my father, and his attorney, Mr. Hansen. When we rang the doorbell, Susan answered with a suspicious look on her face. Her expression changed when she saw the three of us. Dan, and Lauren too. What is the meaning of this? We need to talk. All of us. My father said firmly, leaving no room for argument. My mother reluctantly led us into the living room, where Joe and Katie were waiting, sitting together on the couch. The three of them glared at us with open hostility. Mr. Hansen calmly spread documents out on the table, presenting clear evidence of the $40,000 tuition embezzlement. My mother and Joe went pale, while Katie stared in disbelief. This can't be. We're family. You can't call it embezzlement between family members. Susan protested, her voice trembling. Mr. Hanson coolly dismissed her argument with a legal explanation, and at that moment, I quietly stepped forward for the first time. Family? All three of them turned their eyes to me. Are you really going to say that word? I met each of their gazes, one by one. Mom, you called me heir. You ignored my existence and told me to take on more jobs just so Katie could have more money. Even when I was sick in bed, you never worried about me, not even once. I turned to Joe. Joe, you always did whatever Mom said, treating me like I was invisible. You took my earnings as if it was nothing and yelled at me to make even more. Did you ever, even for a moment, think of me as your daughter? Finally, I looked at Katie. Katie, you used my tuition money to prepare for your study abroad, tried to take trips with the money I earned, and even held the one photo frame I treasured hostage, threatening me for cash. I'll never forget the look on your face that day. None of them could say a word. I struggled to keep my voice steady and delivered my final message. You didn't just take my money. You took time from my college life, the energy I needed to chase my dreams, and countless nights when I was made to feel worthless. You trampled on my self-esteem and my hope. All of it. My voice trembled just a little, but I didn't regret a single word. I had said everything I needed to say. This isn't just about money. This is about making a fair settlement for everything you did to me. That's why I demand that you return everything you took from me, fully and legally. The living room fell completely silent at my resolute declaration. My father gently placed his hand on my shoulder. It felt so warm. Mr. Hanson continued, picking up where I left off. As Lauren herself has clearly stated, we have a written agreement here, requiring you to repay the full amount you took. If you sign this, we will refrain from pressing criminal charges. Then, my father delivered the final blow. But if you refuse, we won't hesitate. Not only was the tuition money embezzled, but Katie's actions amount to blackmail. We will file a police report immediately. It was a complete and undeniable victory. Katie whispered, "No way," and broke down in tears, while Susan and Joe slumped on the sofa, utterly defeated. I didn't look away, because this was the door to the new life I had fought for by my own strength. After leaving that house and starting my life with my father, my world slowly regained its color. I woke up to the smell of fresh coffee in the morning. I shared peaceful conversations with my father. Those ordinary, everyday moments made me so happy I could have cried. Of course, settling things with that family wasn't easy. In the end, they sold the house and repaid me. Katie's study abroad plans were canceled, and the three of them left the town. I heard this later from the lawyer. My mother called once, trying to appeal to my emotions, but I told her quietly, "I can't think of you as family anymore," and hung up, cutting off all contact for good. Life with my father was truly peaceful, but I had no intention of getting complacent. I never wanted to depend on anyone ever again. From now on, I would carve out my own life with my own hands. With that resolve, I poured myself into my studies. All the time I used to spend working part-time jobs went into my coursework, and my GPA soared. Thanks to that, I was selected for a special scholarship that didn't require repayment. "That's amazing, Lauren," my father said, celebrating as if it were his own achievement. I just smiled and replied, "This is only the beginning." I also began to take concrete steps toward my dream of becoming a counselor. With help from the university's Career Center, I landed an internship at an NPO where I could use my psychology skills. There, I listened to children who'd been hurt and helped plan events. I wasn't working for money. The experience of working for my own future gave me a newfound sense of confidence. One day, my maternal grandparents contacted my father. They said they'd heard everything from him and now knew the truth. Over the phone, my grandmother apologized through tears. "Lauren, I'm so sorry. I never imagined Susan could do something so cruel to her own daughter." Then my grandfather, his voice strained but full of anger, said, "Lauren, you've really endured so much. We're proud of you. As for Susan, we no longer consider her our daughter. A few days later, my grandparents visited my father's apartment. With a determined look, they spoke to both of us. We decided to rewrite our will. My grandfather placed official legal documents on the table prepared by their attorney. We were, of course, planning to leave our estate to our daughter Susan. But that's no longer necessary. As a parent and as a person, she did something unforgivable. So all our assets will go to our one and only beloved granddaughter, Lauren. To you. I gasped. Because of her own actions, my mother had lost not only my trust, but also the trust of her own parents, and any claim to the inheritance she once expected. It was a fitting end. My friend Ashley also cheered me on as she watched me change. Lauren, you're really shining these days. The old you, the invisible Lauren, is totally gone. That's a bit rude. That maybe you're right. We talked about our dreams for the future at a cafe. Those moments felt more precious than anything. One day, I showed my father a document, the lease for an apartment near campus that I planned to rent. Dad, thank you for everything. But I want to live on my own now. He looked a little sad, but then smiled proudly. I knew you could do it. Just remember, you're always welcome here. This is your home, too. His words warmed my heart. A few months later, I received a letter from Katie. Her handwriting was shaky, full of apologies. At the end, she wrote, "Someday, I'll start over from scratch and repay everything I took from you with my own effort." I quietly tucked the letter into my drawer. Her life was no longer part of my story. The past can't be erased. The wounds I got in that house are still a part of me. But those scars are what made me strong. They're why I genuinely want to understand the pain of others. I'm not alone anymore. But even if I were, I know I could stand on my own. From now on, I want to become strong enough to protect those who care about me. I choose my own life. I'm not someone's convenient heir. I'll live proudly as the main character in my own story. Bathed in the morning sunlight streaming through the window of my new apartment, I stretched out my arms wide. This is when my real life finally began.